15, 6, 27. Thank you, sir. Representative Greene, good afternoon. I want to go back and ask just a couple narrow questions, and then we'll move to another topic. The Twitter handle @MTGreene, that's your Twitter handle, right? Or it was before your account was suspended?
Before my account was permanently banned.
Got it. And during the period from January 3rd to January 6th, did you or anybody in your office, your congressional office, provide tours, either formally or informally, to people of the U.S. Capitol?
No, the only people that were with me was my husband and my children.
That would be on the 3rd, is that right?
They were, I don't recall the exact days. I believe they went back to Georgia on the 4th.
Okay. I'm trying to capture the period from January 3rd when you were sworn in until January 6th. At any time during that period, did anybody in your office provide tours to anybody of the U.S. Capitol?
No.
Okay. And during that period, did anybody on your campaign staff, or did you authorize the provision of funds, of money, to people who were planning a demonstration on January 6th?
I don't think so. I don't recall that at all.
Okay. If you wanted to know the answer to that question, who would you ask?
I would have to talk to people in my campaign, but I don't think we did anything. How would we have done that? We didn't do anything like that.
During that same period of January 3rd to January 6th, did you or anybody on your campaign or congressional staff provide any information of any sort to anyone in connection with January 6th demonstrations?
I don't think so. I have no idea. I don't think so.
And did you have members of the public visit your congressional office between January 3rd and January 6th?
No.
And during that period from January 3rd to January 6th, did anyone from your congressional office or your campaign provide maps or the location of offices within the Capitol to anybody?
No. We got our keys to my office on January 3rd. I couldn't even find where the bathroom was most of the time.
You know why I'm asking these questions, don't you, Representative Greene?
I have no idea why you're asking these questions.
Representative Greene, you're familiar with the significance of the year 1776 in U.S. history, right?
Yes.
1776 is the year that the Declaration of Independence was signed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a statement by representatives of the 13 colonies that they were no longer subject to the authority of the British Crown, right?
They were declared, it was the Declaration of Independence from the British Crown.
Right. And in fact, you may recall this from your studies, the Declaration of Independence refers to King George as a tyrant, right?
I'm sure it may say that somewhere in the history books. I don't have the history books in front of me, and I don't know which one you're referring to. But
Well, I'm referring to the Declaration of Independence. That's the one that says that King George was a tyrant, unfit to be a ruler of a free people.
are you quoting the
Yes.
Declaration? Okay.
Yeah, well, you'll accept that from me, won't you?
If you're quoting it.
Okay. And you would agree that when a government acts tyrannically, then it's unfit to be the ruler of a free people.
We're typically against tyrannical governments here.
Good. And the people who wrote the Declaration of Independence, they were working with other people in the colonies to express their independence from Britain, right?
I wasn't alive back then, but there's the history. I'm not a history expert, but
Well,
as
you've heard of the
say.
American Revolution, haven't you?
Of course I have.
Okay.
Yes.
And you know that the American Revolution was a violent rebellion against British rule in the colonies.
Yes.
And they were trying to overthrow the government in Britain that was ruling the colonies, right?
America was trying to start our own government.
Right. And to do that, they had to get rid of the British colonial officials who were here in America and throw them out.
Yes.
And they viewed the British officials here and the Crown in Britain as a tyrannical government, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that was an insurrection. Wouldn't you agree? The American Revolution was an insurrection against the government?
I don't believe it. I don't know where it said that.
Well, I'm asking you whether or not you agree that the American Revolution was an insurrection against the British government.
I believe it was the American Revolution is part of our history where we separated from the Crown and started our own government here.
Right. And the separation was brought about by violence, right?
There was a Revolutionary War. Yes.
Yeah. And the violence, the colonists were justified in using violence to get rid of the tyrannical government of Britain, their officials in America. Right?
Is that your opinion? I assume
I'm
so.
asking you.
It was a Revolutionary War. It was violent.
Okay. Now, you've actually talked publicly about the Declaration of Independence calling for the overthrow of tyrannical governments, right? That's something you've discussed publicly.
Are you referencing to something I've said somewhere?
Well, do you recall talking about that topic?
I've talked about the Declaration of Independence on what occasion you're referring to.
Okay. Well, one of the occasions where you talked about the Declaration of Independence was in connection with January 6th, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's go to plaintiffs 15, please.
Which one is
This-
this? Which one is this one, Mr. Shelley?
Plaintiffs 15? Or
P15.
P15, yes. Hang on one second. Ms. Watts. Ms. Greene, I'm going to play a short clip and ask if that's you speaking on the video. Okay.
What's the date on this? I can't read it from here. There you go.
October 26th, 2021.
October 20.
Right. If you could play the clip, please.
Just a riot at the Capitol. And if you think about what our Declaration of Independence says, it says to overthrow tyrants.
That's your statement, right?
I don't believe it was finished, but that was me.
Okay.
I don't recall. I don't know what the rest of what I was saying because it was cut off.
But in that statement that we looked at, you were comparing the overthrow of the British Crown in America in 1776 to January 6th.
I don't know what my statement was because it was cut off.
Now, you've talked about the need for people to have guns in order to secure their rights against the tyrannical government, right?
Yes, we have a Second Amendment for a good reason.
Right. And the good reason is, in case they need to overthrow their government, they can use their guns to do that.
We have well, you're twisting things around. Could you rephrase your question, please?
Well, I'm reacting to your answer. You said that we have a Second Amendment, and that's a good thing. And I said that the reason, from your point of view, that there is a Second Amendment is so that people can overthrow their government by violent means with guns.
That's not the exact purpose. We defend ourselves. Say if you're being attacked, a gun is a tool to defend yourself.
Right. But one of the things it could be used for, strike that. Let's go to PX6. I'm going to play a video here and ask a couple questions about it. Well, first let me just ask you, do you recall giving an interview as reflected on PX6 in October of 2020, just about a week before the election, at something called the Relic Hunter firearms shop?
I vaguely remember.
Okay, and that's you on the left, and the gentleman on the right is the owner of the shop. Am I right about that?
No.
Okay, who's that, just so I know?
Mr. Dorr.
Who's Mr. Dorr?
He's a gun rights activist and just someone I know.
Got it. And it's backwards because of the video, but Mr. Dorr's T-shirts says, what does it say? I am 1,776% sure that no one is taking my guns. Do you agree that that's what it says?
Yes.
Okay. So let's play the video.
I object to playing this. I had, watch this, right in the middle, there is a section cut off, right in the middle.
Well, let's see.
So it has been edited, and who's the source of this?
The source of this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's Earned with the Price of Blood. That's what we're going to be talking about.
No, who's the source of the video?
Where did we get this from?
YouTube. It was on YouTube.
Huh?
YouTube.
YouTube. Okay.
Says Mother Jones.
Well, I know you'll need to see it, but
We'll see it.
Okay.
You can obviously it's difficult to cross-examine a video, but it's certainly possible to say what's the.
I'm going to ask a lot of questions about it, Judge, and she can tell us if it's.
Yeah, you can, as best you can. Go ahead. Let me stop you. We're not watching the whole thing. We're picking up in the middle of it. Is that correct?
It's a minute and 9 seconds, Your Honor.
No. What I'm asking is, oh, I see. It's his shirt. It looked like we were halfway into the video. That's why I was.
No,
I was
the red
confused.
part.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
We're playing the whole.
Can you go back, Ms. Wells, to just to the very beginning?
Yeah, let's start it over again, please.
But here's the deal. If this generation doesn't stand up and defend too worried about offending someone anymore. There's no more excuses. This is it. November 3rd, freedom is on the ballot. You have a choice of either voting for freedom by voting for Donald J. Trump for president again for 4 more years, voting Republican straight down your ballot, or you're going to vote for socialism and vote to completely end America as we know it. And this is no joke. They do not want you to be able to defend yourself, because if you can defend yourself, guess what? Then you can stop a tyrannical government. However, if they take away your guns, then you can't. Not only can you never stop a tyrannical government, you can never even defend yourself if someone is breaking in your home. And that's the reality. This is where we are today in 2020.
Okay, Mother Jones. Let me, it started off with a cut sentence when she said, but,
It's clearly edited.
okay, so whatever she said before is wiped out. And then you saw 3 times when it was cut,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And Mother Jones, I'm sorry, I am not going to rely upon them to give an accurate depiction
Well,
of the tape.
she can, we can proceed with questioning, and the witness can respond. I mean, it is the witness, it is statements she made, and she can respond. So, go ahead.
Well, let's
Overall, thank you.
establish that. Representative Greene, this is a statement that you made in an interview with Mr. Dorr in October of 2020, right?
That is a very partial, cut off and pasted statement. That is me speaking, but my sentences are cut off. My full message is not there.
Okay. And in that statement, what you say is if you can defend yourself, you can stop a tyrannical government. However, if they take away your guns, you can never stop a tyrannical government, right?
Correct?
Okay. And you believe that?
Absolutely.
Okay. And in fact, what was done in 1776 was to stop a tyrannical government with guns. Fair?
Sure, yeah.
And that was to use violence against a tyrannical government, just to get that clear.
No, they were trying to get rid of a tyrannical government. There was a lot of, there was a big process. There was a big build up there before the Revolutionary War.
What
The
did
whole
you,
purpose was not to use guns for violence.
What did you
is
mean?
the narrative that you're trying to push here.
What did you mean when you said that once you lose your freedom, it has to be earned with the price of blood?
Well, I've always said I'm against violence, and I've always said I never want to see a war in this country. Never. I've said that over and over again in many speeches, and the reason why I say that is because I don't want to see war here on American soil. I have 3 children that are young adults, and I never want to see my children fighting a war, earning back our freedoms. And I've said that. That's what I'm talking
No,
about.
it wasn't actually.
Earned with the price of blood is a reference to violence, isn't it?
The price of blood is the unfortunate and tragic cost of war. And that's what happened in the Revolutionary War. And that's what I'm talking about.
And you know that the term 1776 is actually a term that's sometimes used in politics today.
I don't know if you've noticed our state seal here in Georgia. I know you're not from Georgia, but as you can see, we enjoy our history and we're proud of our freedoms. 1776 is on our state seal.
Great. And it's also a term that's used in political discourse in America today.
I don't use it as a term of violence.
But you use it as a term, right?
I have used it as a term, but I do not use it as a term of violence.
We're
Trying to push.
We're not up to that yet. You'll have your chance
I
to answer the
understand.
question you want to answer, but you have to start by answering my question, okay? You acknowledge that 1776 is a term that's used in political discourse today, right?
Yes.
And in fact, one of the examples of 1776 being used in political discourse today is the T-shirt that Mr. Dorr was wearing in the interview that we just saw, right?
We saw 1776 backwards on his T-shirt on that cut-up video.
Right.
Yes.
And you understood that T-shirt to mean that people need to possess firearms in order to oppose a tyrannical government.
I don't recall I don't remember seeing his T-shirt that day when I saw him. The only time I'm paying attention to it is now because you're drawing the reference.
Okay, but as you sit here today, you understand that what that T-shirt is conveying as a political message is that people need to possess firearms in order to oppose a tyrannical government.
I don't necessarily understand what you're trying to say.
I'm just asking whether you have that understanding or not.
I think you're more trying to push a narrative and push words in my mouth, and I don't agree with what you're saying, necessarily.
As you sit here today, Representative Greene, you know that term, 1776, has been used in connection with events of January 6, 2001.
I guess so. I don't know.
Well, you yourself have used the term 1776 to describe the events of January 6, 2021.
I don't recall, but if you say.
Let's go to PX 27, please, Ms. Wells. And by the way, this video, Your Honor, has been admitted into evidence.
Right.
Ms. Wells, will you play that?
No, it wasn't actually planned, but President Trump knows how much I support him. He knows how much I support our district, Georgia's 14th district, and so I was happy to go up there and encourage our voters to get out and vote. We can't allow our two Republican senators lose their seats to two radical socialist Democrats. So I was excited to get up there and also cheer on Senator Kelly Loeffler for announcing last night that she'll be objecting to this fraudulent stolen election tomorrow on January 6th. And I'm very excited that both of us women representing Georgians will be fighting for President Trump and fighting for the integrity of our elections tomorrow.
What is your plan tomorrow? How do you plan to handle what could possibly go down in this joint session of Congress tomorrow? What are you prepared for?
Well, I'll echo the words of many of my colleagues as we were just meeting together in our GOP conference meeting this morning. This is our 1776 moment.
That's your statement on January 5th, 2021, correct?
I don't know the date. Again, I don't recall, but now that I've seen it, what was the date of the video?
January 5th, 2021, but you don't have to take my word for it. We can play it back and you'll see that you're talking about that tomorrow is the 6th.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And this is 2 days after you took the oath of office to be a representative from the 14th Congressional District, right?
Yes.
And you used the term 1776 to describe, in response to a question from the Newsmax broadcaster, right?
I was speaking about objecting.
Well, he asked you, what is your plan? What are you prepared to have go down tomorrow on January 6th? And your response was, tomorrow is our 1776 moment, right?
I was talking about the courage to object.
Mm-hmm. And you said you were echoing the words of your Republican colleagues. Was the term 1776 used by your Republican colleagues?
I don't recall. That was the video, but I don't recall.
Okay. In fact, Representative Boebert has used that term 1776 to describe the events of January 6th, hasn't she?
I don't recall. I have no idea.
Let's go to PX 9E, please.
PX 9E.
9E.
9E. Thank you.
Do you recall seeing a tweet from Representative Boebert from Colorado at 8:30 in the morning on January 6, 2001? Today is 1776.
I don't remember seeing this. I see it now,
Okay.
if that's her tweet.
Do you have any doubt that Representative Boebert used the term 1776 to describe the events of January 6th?
I don't know.
Let's go back to PX 27, please. So that was an interview that you gave to Newsmax, right?
That's what it said on the screen, Newsmax.
Okay. Well, you're not denying that, right?
No, I just saying I don't even remember the interview until we've seen it.
Okay. And that interview was posted that day on your Facebook page.
I don't remember.
Do we have that? Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to that. Now, when you said this is our 1776 moment, you knew that some of the people who felt that Donald Trump was the rightful winner of the 2020 election used that term to refer to the possibility of violence on January 6th, 2021.
No, I never heard anyone talking about violence for January 6th.
You've never heard
Absolutely
anyone,
not.
you've never heard about anyone using the term 1776 to refer to the possibility of.
never
Let me finish my
use-
question, Representative.
Okay, excuse me, sorry.
I don't mean to cut you off, and
No,
please
I
don't cut me
apologize.
off.
Yeah.
You've never heard anybody say, use the term 1776 as a code word for violence to occur on January 6, 2021.
No, absolutely not.
You're familiar with a group called the Proud Boys?
I've heard of them.
And you know that the Proud Boys,
Where it says it's from her Facebook page? Does it say
yes,
it?
I believe it does. 66 has been admitted, Your Honor, into evidence.
And
Yeah,
what's
it's
the,
been admitted for what it's worth, so go ahead.
yeah, and what is the date?
We're going to ask your client that, Mr. Bob.
Okay, you don't know, okay.